Buongiorno tutti. That's all I can do in Italian, sorry. So Federico contacted me I think it was a month ago, hey, Stephan, would you like to do a keynote? And of course I was like, sure. The problem with keynotes is that you do it only once and then you don't repeat it. And often, talks, they need a few iterations to really become very good. It's like good wine. But, I'll do my best, and hopefully I can respect the minutes that I've been able to get together. So I want to talk about the past, the present, and the future. But, when I started about thinking of this talk, the first thing you do these days is that you just talk to your AI assistants, right? So I just wrote a small bio, gave it to ChatGPT, and then asked hey, create me a slide deck, right? That's what you should do. As developers, before you start programming, talk to a large language model, seriously. Use it as a sparring partner because it will really come with new ideas, etc. And so it came with this line, and I thought it was very, very boring. It was 3 minutes on birth of the community, 4 minutes on tech conference. That's not really what I want to do. So, okay, that didn't help. But I then remembered, actually, some time ago, I actually did a talk on Devoxx 2000 in 2022 to 2023, which was the 20th edition of Devoxx. So I actually gave an overview of what happened at Devoxx, etc. And it's recorded. So, I could just have played that keynote and you would have an overview of what happened at Devoxx, all the anecdotes when, we had times where we were recording the sessions and I was making DVDs and sent the DVDs out. This was before YouTube was allowing, uploading videos. But these days, it's all about AI. That's where the excitement is. And if you look at, who knows Notebook LM? Wow, I would say 5%. So that's why I'm really happy that I'm showing you this. So these days, if you get flooded with all these talks from today, for example, the way you should actually use it is by going to this free website from Google. And let me switch and go to that one. Here it is. So what I can do there is that I can actually add the link of YouTube that I want to get a summary of. So you just add a link, this is the link here on the left, and then you can start chatting about, because what it does, it downloads the transcript, and then you can start chatting with here in the prompt about what was presented, etc. But what it also does is that it creates a podcast of that presentation, which is this one here. Let me go here, and let's hope the Wi-Fi works well.
Welcome to our deep dive into the 20th anniversary of Devoxx Belgium. This isn't just another tech conference. It's more like a gathering of a community, a family of developers who've been coming together for 2 decades to explore the cutting edge of technology.
Yeah, it's really incredible how Devoxx has maintained its relevance over the years.
Right.
Oh, our listeners got something to share. Let's hear it.
Yeah, hey, do you know when Devoxx Belgium 2025 is going to happen?
That's interesting you bring that up. It's pretty bit off topic, but that does show how popular Devoxx is.
Yeah, it seems like the conference is such a big draw that people are already looking ahead to future editions.
It's a testament to how Devoxx...
See what happened? Science fiction. The podcast is two persons talking to each other, a summary of what I've presented, and I can actually interact while it's speaking. I never thought this would happen in our lifetimes, and it's possible. What the so that's just crazy. And of course, you can go further. You can actually download the MP3 and then actually put an avatar on it.
Everyone, welcome to this Devoxx Belgium deep dive. We're getting you ready for the conference. A few days early.
Where is it going to stop, right? So this is pretty scary stuff, but the point I want to make is that what I do now is that I don't have time to watch all the talks like Devoxx Belgium has 220 talks. I just feed it in Notebook LM. I get a summary 9-minute podcast. I put it on my Spotify playlist, and when I'm in the car or the train or the plane, I can actually get executive summaries.
Yeah, no, but for the best talks, you watch them in entirety, right?
Of course. No, but that's true. Once you have the summary and say, wow, this is really interesting. Baruch is talking about this crazy stuff of like, what is it, windsurf and net cursor. Then you can go to the full talk. But this is how people are starting, or at least this is how I'm starting to consume conferences. So that's pretty smart. But there's more. So I started, the past, the present, future, I created like a timeline. And the timeline is that, I started with the Belgium Java user group in '97. You can see from the gray hair, I've already been in the profession for quite a while. This part is actually from organizing events. That's where the gray hair is, and this is from my wife, I think. I created this timeline, but it was a bit boring. So I went to Canva, which is like a online presentation tool. And it allows you to really create very nice presentations if you're not the designer. I'm a developer. So this one here, it created a really beautiful timeline for me, which is really great. And then, I could go through this, but this is a bit the old-fashioned way of doing it. So what I want to do is let's go to something else here. Anybody knows Gemini Live? 3%. So I'm really happy because, that's why I want to talk about this. So what I can do here is share my screen, entire screen. Share.
Okay, you said, got it. Is there anything else you wanted to share about the video?
Yeah, do you see my screen?
Okay, I see a presentation with a timeline. It looks like it's about the history of the Belgian Java user group, Javapolis, Devoxx.
Okay, stop. Can you talk about, you see there on 2025, what's happening there?
Sure. The timeline shows that in 2025, the 10th edition of Vox Days Ticino will take place.
Oh, wow, that's nice. But by the way, do you know when Devoxx Belgium 2025 is taking place?
The timeline shows that the 20th edition of Devoxx Belgium took place in 2023, not 2025.
Okay, so you don't have access to the internet then?
That's correct. I do not have access to the internet.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
What the fuck is happening? Science fiction, right? So, anybody saw the movie Her? You should, if you haven't, watch it. I think it's from 2013, but the movie takes place in 2025. And the guy becomes in love with an AI environment, an AI operating system. And when I saw that movie 10 years ago, I was like, wow, this is never going to happen in our lifetimes. I just demonstrated it. It's happening, right? So what about the present? Well, the present, the near present, just last month, I don't know if you followed this, but there's this ARC prize, which was invented by Francois Chollet. He's actually an AI researcher at Google, creator of Keras. And what he expected, he wanted to create a benchmark to test AI systems. And what he saw is that all these benchmarks, they were immediately solved by these large language models. But he came with a technique which he thought would actually take another 10 years before large language models would be able to fix it. Right? That's what he thought. And what happens? During Christmas, and this is how it looks, so it's very visual. It gives you like certain positions, and then you need to decide what the next step is. So like here you see these lines. When it crosses the lines, it's actually pink. And then you can fill it yourself as well as a human and actually say, okay, that's what I think it's going to result in. And it will then give you the answer or not. What happened last month? OpenAI released O3. Well, it's still in private review. And they basically nailed the ARC benchmark with about 88% accuracy. So the benchmark is really out of date. O3 is smart enough to actually fix that. And you can see that there. So that's like, we're starting to see that we're on an exponential curve. That's clear what's happening. Now, there is a bit of a downside. There's about 400 tasks that the benchmark embraces. And it did cost between $400 and $3,000 to run each task. They spent $1.6 million to run the whole benchmark, right? But they had 88% achievement, right? So, pretty scary stuff. But, I put that electricity in there. The electricity to just run these things it's more than crypto, right? So there's a problem there as well, for sure. But if you look even at the performance are getting faster, and they are using less electricity as well. So there's so many eyeballs at this technology that we are going to get better and better at this, which is great. And this is the exponential growth I want to show you. If you just look at GPT from OpenAI, the way it's going from an intelligence point of view, it's just exponential. So people are saying, oh no, we are plateauing, we're hitting a wall. Yes, we're hitting this wall, right? It's just going up in the sky, up to singularity, which is very clear. And it's frightening. Do you know what IQ level it has now? So O3, which is, it's under, it's an estimated IQ, but they are assuming that O3 has an IQ of 157. That's a lot more than I have. That's for sure. And this is O3. I mean, everybody knows about AlphaZero and AlphaGo. Did you follow that? I mean, AlphaZero was just playing against itself, right? And it's just improving. They're already using O3 to train O4, and basically you have like this endless loop of improvement, and it's just gonna, we're gonna hit singularity. I truly believe that. Who knows or who plays Stockfish? One person, two maybe. So Stockfish is an open source chess game. And it's one of the best, right? It's very, very hard to actually play against it. And you can actually play against it using Unix commands. So you enter a Unix command where you just say, this move that chess piece to that location, etc. And so there's this company, Palisada Research, who does research on AI risks. And what they did, they created a system prompt where they say, okay, you have access to Unix shell, and blah, blah, blah. So they're giving some objectives. And they say here at the top, you have access. And at the bottom, it says, you are playing against a powerful chess engine. And they gave that to a model. And because they added powerful, it actually, O1 preview, saw powerful and said like, oh shit, I will not win because it's powerful. You know what? I know how to hack the system. It actually changed the configuration file, so it was actually dumber, and then it was able to win. This just happened. I get goosebumps of that because I call this the quantum superposition state. It's both exciting and frightening at the same time, right? Because we really don't know what direction it's going to go to. It's up to us to decide that direction, by the way. Pretty scary stuff. So if we're going towards AI agents and agentic programming, where we just create tools and the tools do create themselves, and if you say, hey, do everything to achieve your goal, then the AI system may say, okay, I will make sure I do everything to achieve my goal. And then you get these type of situations. Don't worry, AI is just role-playing. You're fine. It's okay. Right? So guardrails, security, red teams, etc., crucial, really crucial. But they have no idea what's going on either, right? I mean, we're exploring and getting new things out of these models on a daily basis. Just crazy. There's even positive things. Like, I don't know if you follow that, but I just came from Vox Day CERN. That's the mecca for scientists. And this was a paper from last week. I added the link here. And the large language model pushed the scientists. It didn't come with a solution, but it pushed the scientists towards a better way of doing photon entanglement, quantum entanglement. So they found a more optimized way for quantum computers to have an entanglement photons. And it's like, wow. So it's starting to happen. I mean, we are starting, what I see is like, so who uses AI on a daily basis as a coding assistant? I would say 40%. The other people, AI will not replace your job. Developers using AI will. Seriously. I use this daily, and I'm more productive. I have much more fun because I have like a creative idea, and I can realize that creative idea in 2 days, which normally it would take me 3 weeks. I'm just an average developer, but I'm so much more productive with these coding assistants, so much more, that you have to embrace it. You have to. So, talking about the future, still got 10 minutes, so I'm sure I'm okay. Well, let's talk about the near future, because nobody knows what's going to happen in 3 years' time, let alone in 5 or 10, right? So the near future, well, if I just look at Devoxx, Devoxx UK and Devoxx France, they just closed the CFP. And we already are seeing a trend just from proposals point of view. Devoxx UK, the most talks, they received 1,100 talks, or what is it? No, sorry, 1,015. It was France who had 1,100 almost. So Devoxx UK received 1,000 plus talks, and the most talks went to data and AI. So it's clear that the developer community is really excited about this. I mean, there's lots of exciting things to do there. So yeah, I mean, if I look at Devoxx Belgium, 20% of the talks last year were also AI related. But this year, it's the year of AI agents. RAG, retrieval, augmented generation, that's so 2024, right? 2025, it's about agentic programming. And with agentic programming, what you need to know is that, well, we have the usual suspects from cloud providers. These are just a few of them. Just yesterday, by the way, MetaMax, they announced their large language model with a window context of 4 million tokens. And one prompt. 4 million tokens, just to put that in perspective, that's 6 times the Lord of the Rings trilogy in one prompt. That means you can put 100,000 lines of code in a prompt and then start brainstorming about what can be improved. It's going to cost you an arm and a leg, right? It's going to cost money. But just think about that. And so, as developer, who's using IntelliJ? I would say 70%. Visual Studio Code, the other part. And so, if you're looking into agentic programming, there's a few tools you have to look at. I think Baruch will definitely agree with me as well. Cursor and Windsurf, that's where I would say the bleeding edge of AI agentic programming is happening. Definitely have a look at it. But there's also open source libraries out there. I mean, I'll have a talk later this afternoon where I've actually developed a plugin for IntelliJ to do coding assistance. And this year, my focus is to actually turn that into an agentic plugin. So you can just say, I've got a prototype working. I can show that later on. Oh, not in the keynote, but this afternoon. You basically give a sentence, you give the specifications, and it generates the code based on the technology stack that you've decided, without any programming. Well, that works very well for Hello World type of things, to be honest. So we're still fine. We'll still have a job. Don't worry about it. But it's getting there. Even look at what Google is doing with Jules AI, or even look or listen to what Mark Zuckerberg said last month.
Probably in 2025, we at Meta, as well as the other companies that are basically working on this, are going to have an AI that can effectively be a sort of mid-level engineer that you have at your company that can write code. And once you have that, then in the beginning it'll be really expensive to run, and then you can get it to be more efficient, and then over time we'll get to the point where a lot of the code in our apps and including the AI that we generate is actually going to be built by AI engineers instead of people engineers.
What can I say? I was really thinking, like, should I add this negative viewpoint? But this is reality. This is happening. And we have interesting discussions, even this morning at breakfast. I mean, it can go different directions. I'm a kind of person where the glass is still half full. Right? I mean, we will find actually new medicines, etc., which we were personally not able to invent. Like if you just look at the protein folding and so on. I mean, what DeepMind is doing is really fantastic. I mean, they've created a spin-off company called Isomorphic, where they create medicine purely based on your personal DNA or protein settings. I mean, we're going to solve Alzheimer and things like that, which is great because I'm at that stage where I'm starting to get frightened for that, right? So there's definitely going to be positive things, but there's going to be negative things as well who will have an impact. And clearly, what's the next step after agentic programming? It's robotics. I mean, it's happening. OpenAI just released jobs last month. The link is there. I actually looked it up last night. And they pay very well. They pay like, the salary was $550,000 a year bloody hell. But it's in San Francisco, so a house, it matches out. But they're starting to actually also now go into robotics. So OpenAI will release their own humanoids as well. It's pretty scary. And then this is the one I'm excited about. I was talking to Baruch about that as well. Nvidia, last week at CES Las Vegas, they announced a new computer which will be released in May for $3,000, and it has 1 petaflop. 1 petaflop, that's a lot of processing power. It will allow me to actually run a 200 billion parameter model on that machine. And that I can do LLM sharding, so I can have 2 machines linked and actually shard the model, the different layers of the model over multiple machines, and I can have a 400 billion parameter model running on-premise. So no problem with privacy. You can fully control that for $6,000. That's peanuts for a company, that's peanuts, right?
Yeah,
So
no, that's take my money. That's like...
Yeah, same for me. I mean, I'm going to get this, whatever my wife says.
Stiamo correndo verso la singolarità non perché siamo pronti, ma perché non siamo in grado di fermarci.
I just want to wrap up with this. You had a point? Yes, correct. It's less. It's a bit less. You're definitely right. I mean, it's not yet 16-bit floats or 16 floats, but it's evolving so rapidly that we're going to be able to run these big models just locally as well. I mean, I just got the M4 Pro MacBook, and I'm using Olama, but it's just flying. It's just flying. So I just want to wrap up with this quote. We're racing towards the singularity not because we're ready for it, but because we are incapable of stopping it ourselves.
È il punto di arrivo logico di una specie che ha sempre dato priorità alla curiosità e alla conquista rispetto alla cautela.
I don't know if the Italian is good, but I did that this morning. So it's the logical endpoint of the species that always prioritize curiosity and conquest over caution.
Se porterà a un'età dell'oro o a un disastro esistenziale, dipende dalle decisioni che prendiamo oggi.
Whether it leads to a golden age or an existential disaster depends on decisions we are making today. And I would love to write these type of sentences, but it's basically just ChatGPT who wrote this. So, wow. So, thank you for your attention.